Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Moose Hunt Podcast. On today's episode, we're sitting down and having an in-depth conversation with our dear friend and team member, Mr. Dana Valleau. Dana is a passionate outdoorsman with a love of our natural resources that's second to none and is in fact a wildlife biologist by training. We're going to sit down and discuss the importance of a life with the outdoors as a part of it, and then we're going to discuss two really specific moose hunting stories. The first, the exciting story of how Dana harvested a 62-inch bull in Zone 8 in northern Maine on his first ever moose hunting experience. And then we're going to tell the story about how Dana and I teamed up a few years ago to harvest a bull that we called the Hat Trick Bull. The takeaway lesson, never give up on any hunting expedition, even if it's the last day with only 30 minutes to go. Enjoy. Hello, folks, and welcome to another episode of the Moose Hunt Podcast with OMM Outfitters. I'm your host, Chris Richards. Excited today. We're joined by team member Dana Valleau. Dana, how are you?
Oh, very good today.
Very good. I got to tell you, it's a beautiful day for our listeners out there. Right now, we're recording this from gorgeous Liberty, Maine, and Dana's right down here on Lake St. George. It's sunny. The lake looks beautiful, so I'm hoping I can get a boat ride.
Yeah, we'll hit the rope swing.
Hit the rope swing at the end of this.
Yep.
So
perfect weather.
Perfect weather. Not exactly moose season weather yet, but we still love it. But our minds are on moose.
I'm thinking about it, though.
We are. We're thinking about it.
We were just talking about it. Of course.
We were just talking about it, and we've a couple of episodes. Folks want to listen back if maybe this is the first one they've listened to. Episode 1, we talked with Nathan. We jumped into gun calibers a little bit. We talked with Kenny in episode 2. These certain topics, and he talked a lot about quartering, some tips for those maybe getting into the outdoor industry. But we've been meeting all the team members and just kind of sharing stories about how everyone got into the outdoors, how they got into this business, and not just into the outdoors, but also into guiding. Because that's a whole other level, I think, is when you get that passion for sharing information with others and taking them in the field. And also coming down, this is my first time at Dana's place. Dana was showing me around, and I noticed that there's a 62-inch bull.
Yeah.
Hanging.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I do have a 62-inch bull under my belt.
Which is...
I've drawn one moose tag.
Yeah.
In 2006, been putting in since 1980.
1980,
and
yeah.
That's the only one I've drawn, but I was going to shoot the first moose I saw.
Was that the first bull you saw?
And no, 2 hours before I shot it, I was trying to shoot a spike, and I just couldn't get a shot at it. It was in some thick brush. Just couldn't do it. But we knew there was a big one around it. A buddy of mine has the sheds from this one.
Oh, no kidding, really?
Yeah, from the prior year.
Wow.
Yeah. So we knew it was around, but it was my first tag.
First tag.
First moose hunt.
First moose hunt ever. So
yeah.
let's jump into that story. Kind of take us back. Obviously, 06, things were a little different. That was my senior year of high school, actually. Yeah. Believe it or not.
Nice.
Yep. But take us through that story. You're up in Zone 8.
Zone 8, and I was working in the woods up there. I'm a wildlife biologist by training from University of Maine, and I was working for an engineering company, and we were doing some studies to support energy projects up in Zone 8.
Yeah.
And boy, did we find some moose up in there.
Oh, yeah.
There was a lot of moose at that period of time, probably too many moose.
Right.
And it was pretty common to see nice bulls.
Yeah.
So anyhow, we knew there was a lot of moose there. I drew a tag. I was so excited.
Now, this is back like you found out in the newspaper, probably. Or did you find out?
Somebody called me.
Someone called you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it was somebody who was at the drawing or something like that.
Okay.
But, this is like a long shot. I've been putting in for over 20 years.
Right.
So I get drawn and scouted out. We knew there was good hunting there. with the numbers of moose. I had a dozen places to call.
Yep.
I was going to do a lot of walking. Kind of just, that's the way I wanted to do it.
Right.
Planned on quartering the moose.
Mm-hmm.
So anyhow, I had two buddies who are more traditional Maine moose hunters who wanted to come along.
Yeah.
And so they show up at my buddy's camp in Stratton with a turkey fryer and
Yeah.
a couple coolers of beer.
Yeah.
My buddy's like, what is going on with this?
Who are these guys?
They pull in the driveway, start setting up the turkey fryer. Anyway.
We're here to socialize.
We're here to go moose hunting.
Right.
So we spent, they could only stay a couple days. So I did what I wanted to do and they drove around looking for moose.
Yeah.
And,
was this a September or October
this was,
season?
October.
Yep.
So it's zone 8. It's the
That's right.
typical second week of October.
Yep.
And Monday we saw some cows. We didn't see any bulls. And those guys could stay through Tuesday afternoon. So Tuesday afternoon they packed up and left.
Mm-hmm.
And right after they left, I saw this spike bull.
Oh, no kidding.
And just couldn't get a shot at it.
Yep.
Was pretty frustrated. And went down to one of my other calling spots, walked up this road just a little ways and heard something. Didn't know what it was at first. Then it dawned on me, it's a bull moose.
Out there grunting.
And it's grunting.
No kidding.
And we're in the valley floor, and this moose is up at about 2,700, 2,800 feet up above a clear cut grunting.
Mm-hmm.
So he's, half a mile away at least. But it's, beautiful evening. 4:00, no wind.
Dead calm.
Slight overcast. It was just perfect.
Yeah.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
And my brother was my sub, and so it's just my brother and I.
Yeah.
And we're just like looking at each other with our, just in disbelief. Oh my, this is going to happen.
Yeah.
Because this bull is grunting and
fired right up.
We're in a perfect spot. I knew that we'd found the sheds actually not far from where he was.
Yeah.
And I knew the major trails and the cut. That was this was a place I'd planned to hunt. And the one thing we didn't do is think about the setup. But anyway, we were excited, and I did a cow call, and he got more aggressive with his grunting, and he was marching back and forth. So, we'd hear him off to the right, then he'd go off to the left,
Mm-hmm.
but he wasn't coming down. He was expecting the cow to go to him. And then I did a bull grunt, and instantly there was a crack, and you could hear him coming.
Yeah.
And within probably 2 minutes, he was close. And it dawned on us that we wouldn't get a shot at him unless he stepped on the road. It was all fir plantation.
Yep.
We just didn't think.
Right. Unless he steps right here.
He has to step into the road.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, we can't move now.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to hear us if we do anything. So we just froze, and here he comes. And he stops about 50 yards away in the firs, and we could see the tops of the firs that he's raking.
Moving.
Oh, yeah. And we could hear him breathing.
Wow.
We could hear him licking.
Wow.
We could hear him licking his lip. He's trying to scent the cow.
All fired up.
It was intense. Then I feel a little breeze on the back of my neck, and we both look at each other, and the moose went dead silent. Could have heard a pin drop. And we waited like 5 minutes, as long as we could wait.
Seemed like an eternity, I'm sure, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I did a gentle tickle with the scapula.
Yeah.
And off he goes, away. I mean, we were busted.
Done.
He caught wind of us.
Yep.
And I hadn't seen the bull, so I didn't know how big he was. But either way, we ran down the road. I knew where he was going. I knew where he came down. I knew the trail, just through scouting. I knew the lay of the land. Ran back to the truck because again he came from half mile away, up in the ridge.
Or was he going right back to where he'd come from?
He was headed back up.
Yep.
Yep. because quite often those moose in the mountainous country will stay up above the cuts. They bed up in that high country quite often.
Yeah,
and that I'd seen big bulls up there during the summer.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what they do. They bed up high quite often. So drove the truck up to the next road, down to where the trail crossed that road, and here he comes. He's coming right up through the woods.
No kidding.
Yep.
Got in front of him.
Yep, got in front of him. So I got out of the truck, loaded up, and picked an alley. Waited till he got into the alley, and he was about 200 yards away.
No kidding.
And he stretched out his front leg that was facing me, and I put a bullet right in the bed basket, right in the Boilermaker.
Yeah.
And he went like 20 yards and tipped over.
Wow.
Yep.
62-inch bull.
Yep.
Yep. And especially particularly, Eastern Canadian moose. That's magnificent. So what was the score on him?
182.
182. Almost Boone and Crockett.
Almost.
Yep.
Yep.
Wow. That's a gorgeous bull.
The prior year he probably would have been Boone and Crockett. Yeah.
From the sheds.
He was more symmetrical.
Wow.
And he was a 7.5-year-old bull.
Yep.
So he was pretty much in his prime. But he had battle scars, and his antlers had a broken, just a tip of a tine, and puncture wounds from another bull.
Fighting.
So there was, we knew there was a bunch of big bulls there.
Right.
But they're, they can be hard to get in that mountainous country.
Yeah.
Because they're up high like that, and
Yeah.
just everything came together. It's perfect conditions to call them in, and
right. And that's a huge part of it. And it is fascinating when you think about the state of Maine, how some of the zones can be different.
Oh, yeah, dramatically different. Where we hunt there in that area, we mostly glass.
Yeah.
So I'll have half a dozen spots that I glass, and half a dozen spots that we call.
Yep.
And there was the other hunt I did there. My brother Bill had a permit for the same area.
Mm-hmm.
And opening morning was terrible conditions, 30-mile-an-hour winds.
Yeah.
So we're not calling today.
Right.
But our first glassing spot, by 9 a.m. we'd seen 8 moose.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
And at 11 we saw a nice bull with a cow and a calf, and that was I think our 11th or 12th moose we'd seen that morning.
Wow.
And we'd glassed in one spot. So, doing the scouting, we figured out which cuts they were feeding in, and we could sit in one spot and look at 4 or 5 cuts.
Right.
And then you go up in, say, the flat country in northern Aroostook County, so over in the east side of the county. It's thick. It's flat country.
Right.
Spruce and fir flats.
Spruce and fir flats.
Can't see anything.
Can't see anything.
Yeah, it's tough.
Nope. So these swamp
very
bulls.
Different swamp bulls. Yep. they're in the black spruce bogs. And,
yep.
And you go in western Maine, and they're up in the mountains. Very cool.
And it is, and it even can, you talk about, you had an opportunity to shoot 200 yards. I think about, my moose hunting experience, so far, and, a lot of the hunting I've done, and you get these bulls that, my God, you set your rifle in for 200 yards, and then you go up north and you shoot one at like 50 feet. And,
right.
Right. And so,
right. I know it's dramatically different. And, and when we talk to moose hunters about it, we tell them, be capable of shooting 300 yards, but
right.
Odds are it's going to be less than 100.
Right.
And odds are it's actually going to be 50 feet.
Yeah.
Because, where we hunt in Aroostook County is a lot different terrain.
Right.
There are places you can get some glassing in, but it's mostly walking old logging roads that are grown up, and hunting cuts that are grown up to 3 or 4 or 5 feet tall.
Mm-hmm.
Tough to see them. And, there's some cuts we look at from the ground and we think, oh, they're beautiful. And then we go over there and they're 8 feet tall.
Right. That's right.
You can't see anything.
It's true. It's true.
So the moose has to come out, or you have to go in after it,
right?
And just get them to come in. And the wind needs to be right. You have to sound like a moose. It's very, very different.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, absolutely.
It's one of the reasons why I love moose hunting.
Yes.
And this is why I became a guide. I love moose hunting. How can I do it? It's been, how many years since I've been putting in? How many hunts can I really go on?
Right.
Not very many.
Right. It took you 26 years or 26 years to get your first
I'm
permit.
not blessed like some families that have lots of hunters and lots of tags over the years.
Yeah.
Like you,
for
example.
So,
but
that's true.
So I was, talking to Tom Hamilton, who I guide fly fishing with, about how much I love moose hunting, and he said, "Well, you should guide."
Right. And that's how it began. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think
I can go on 2 or 3 moose hunts a year now.
That's right. And for me, I think the passion for moose hunting, similar to you, was one of the reasons to pursue my guide's license. Is when I got my guide's license, I imagined moose hunting, taking people moose hunting. You have those inspirations. I did, in my life. Like my Uncle John was a major one, particularly to guide. He was that at a young age. I grew up in one of those Northwoods deer camps where 200-pound deer was the only measure that you talked about. No one talked about antler measurements. You shoot a 200-pound dress buck. And so he was a huge influence for me. But when you think back, like getting into the outdoors, your start, what, in your youth, what was it for you? Was it family? Was it friends? Was it a certain person in life? Like what?
Yeah. So the start really, I could say, is my Uncle Jack, who was, I grew up in Orono, born in Bangor, and I'm the only one in my family actually that was born in Maine.
Really?
Yeah, and my my mom's from Illinois, my dad's from New Jersey, and he was a professor at UMaine.
Okay.
And Uncle Jack from Illinois happened to get stationed at Dow Air Force Base, so we had an uncle in the neighborhood really.
Yeah.
And I was little. I mean, 1, 2, 3. But he used to take me bird watching.
Yeah.
And I'd sit on his lap. I remember sitting on his lap, looking through a spotting scope at sea ducks down at Schoodic Point. I mean, I remember it clear as it happened yesterday.
Yeah.
And that's really how I got into just nature, being interested in what's out there.
Right.
And honestly, growing up in Orono, a lot of people think, oh, it's kind of suburban. Well, we lived on kind of the edge of that, and we could go out the door and go fish for brook trout.
Right.
We can hunt deer right out the backyard. I used to take a rifle out the front door of the house, walk up the road, cross the overpass, wave to people,
Yeah.
Just go rabbit hunting with neighborhood kids.
Yep.
That's what we did. We were outdoors all the time. We got thrown outside basically.
Right. Come back at dark.
My mom would stay at home, and soon as she could throw us outside, she did.
Yeah.
And that's where we were.
That's awesome.
We'd have campfires and down by the Trout Brook and go camping. 4th grade, we were camping alone.
Wow.
Our parents let us do that stuff.
Well, right. And think about how the world's changed, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we try to do that with our kids too.
Yeah.
And the rule always was if you kill it, you have to eat it.
Yeah.
And Sam, my youngest, he's 18 now. He'd be out in the yard skinning a squirrel, 10 years old, building the campfire in the backyard to cook it. That's
awesome.
Yeah, and it's just a great way to live, just connected to nature.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I worry about is people's connectivity to nature.
Yeah.
And the outdoors. No matter what you do, if more people would get out and do things, bird watch, canoe,
bike, whatever,
hike, kayak, whatever, get outdoors.
And
that that's how I ended up guiding. But I mean, that's a whole long story in itself. we could take another podcast on that. But
Right.
you know, and so when I got to college age, I studied wildlife management.
Yeah, so you went
At
into that
University of Maine.
as a career, right?
Yep.
And just passion for the outdoors.
Yeah, that was it.
Yep.
Yep. And that's really how I kind of am ending that career too. It's
Right.
it's like, you know, well, now I think I'm going to guide more,
Yep.
get back into the more direct, you know, you go into work for corporate America or an engineering firm, eventually you become management,
Yeah.
and you know a little bit about that.
I know. Yeah.
And you know, that's good for a while, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, my youngest is 18, and
Yeah.
it's time for me to go back into the woods some more.
More than you have been.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and you know, I've been guiding pretty steady since I got all my licenses in. Let's see, I started out whitewater rafting because that was 1990,
Yep.
and by that fall, I had all my other guides licenses. I lived in Greenville,
Mhm.
working for a rafting company.
Yeah.
Took my written guide exams, and I took hunting, fishing, rec all at the same time.
Yep.
And passed those. Went down to Augusta for the oral board, and passed that
Yep.
for all three. And the head licensing clerk was Connie Latno at the time, sweet lady, and she saw that, you know, I'm this young kid, essentially, you know, 20-something,
Yeah.
who has all his guides licenses first try. And she actually comes out and she gets me and takes me back to her cubicle, sets me down. She types up my license on a typewriter.
Mm.
She says,
Wow.
"This is special. You know, you're one of the youngest ones I've ever seen get all three, one shot."
That's awesome.
And yeah,
What a memory.
yeah,
I had no idea about that.
yeah.
You know,
That was fun.
One thing you touched on there, Dana, and it's an interesting discussion, is, you know, the encouragement of people to get outside, doing whatever. And I have to wonder, you know, we're coming out of this COVID-19 pandemic, whatever, and I have a little bit of hope actually about it.
Absolutely. You know, that's one of the silver linings. This has all been about silver linings, and
Yeah.
that's one of them. Is more people are getting out,
Yeah.
and hopefully we'll see that more people support the outdoors and nature, and you know, public lands.
Right.
You know, I saw a bumper sticker just on one of the. I was just guiding brook trout up in Western Maine, and one of the guides had a bumper sticker. "I am a public landowner."
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, and I'm like, I got to get one of those.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a huge thing too. Is
Yeah.
especially in Maine, we're very fortunate that we can use a lot of private land,
Yes, we are. We are.
and that could end at any time.
It could be. It is. I think.
And you know, just the more and more as time goes on,
Mm-hmm.
let more land as landowners change, we could see a change in that.
Right. And it's interesting. That's, and that you talk about podcast topics that, access to land and how things have changed in Maine. And I think probably you're changing nationally even. Here in Maine, it's interesting. You see some of these organizations, working on conserving land and building relationships, because you talk to a lot of people about moose hunting, and you'll often hear this referenced, way up north on the paper company land.
Right.
You hear that reference, and anyone who's applying to, moose hunt in Maine or is interested in moose hunting in Maine, when you hear that reference, it really is a reference to historic times where all these paper companies that own paper mills in Maine owned all of this forest land.
Yeah,
And
I think it was less than 10 landowners owned half the state.
correct. At one point, right?
And most of them were 1 million acres or more each, and it's not like that right now.
And
we're fortunate for groups like North Maine Woods that are supported by landowners that still support our traditions and history of land use. And then we're also pretty fortunate that there's some landowners, especially down east, that just have open land.
Yeah.
We're really blessed with the amount of land we have that we can use. And if we were restricted to just public land moose hunting,
Yeah, it'd
be tough.
be a challenge.
It'd be a challenge.
There'd be a lot of moose hunting happening in a small area.
Yeah. Yep.
We are very fortunate to have that access, and I think a key point, is just being responsible stewards of it.
Yeah, and that's my one concern out of the whole COVID outdoor boom is that people's landowners' toes are going to get stepped on, and that could change how they treat us, the recreating public.
Right. I mean, if anyone, you're stumbling onto this, you've maybe just getting into hunting, and welcome. We're excited to have you listening, but I think simple common sense, leave things that you found them, trash, where you park. Really, there's some simple things people can do sometimes that I'm like, what are you thinking?
Right. Right.
Drive if you're on a logging road network, don't drive 70 miles an hour. Logging roads are there because people log. There's logging trucks that come down these roads.
It's their workplace.
Right. And we're fortunate.
Respect their work, and they'll continue to respect us.
Now, you touched upon, you got your guide's licenses at a very young age. So, and you've been fish guiding for a long time. Started, moose guiding.
I was 23 when I got all my guide's licenses.
23. Yeah. I
I
only got my hunting right out of the gate, but I was about maybe 24, 25.
Yep. Good. Nice.
And
I didn't know that.
Yep. I actually, at the time, and I guess you still see these right now, there was like a company that offered like a preparatory class. Like
there's quite a few,
guides, Maine guide school type thing.
Right.
And my wife got it for me for like a birthday present.
Oh, that's cool.
Because I'd talked about it for years and whatever, and she actually said, she goes, "No, you need to do this," and that kind of started it, for me for sure, which was great.
I was just recommending that somebody take that. This one of the people I was guiding is actually on the other end of the spectrum, older, much older, and that was something that she always wanted to be when she was at summer camp. She's like, "I want to be a Maine guide." She never did it.
Oh, really? Really?
I'm like, you should go take a class and just at least do that.
Yeah, do it right now.
Adult summer camp, Go,
yeah.
Even if you don't pursue the license.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go back and do it. It's never too late.
Right. No, absolutely not. And so obviously, you fishing guided for years, got on the team with OMM.
Yeah.
Moose guiding.
And I'll stop you there just for a second. I only ever wanted to really fish guide.
Really? That's
part of the reason was I like to hunt, and the other part was I was just not confident with the responsibility of guiding hunters and the safety aspects, and taking somebody out that I just met with guns.
Right. Fly rods are safer.
A lot. Even you can still.
That's true. I'm sure you have some stories.
Yeah, there's some hooking incidents involved, but that's Yeah. And that was always, those are the two reasons why I didn't ever want to guide hunters. And then I did had some trout fishermen that wanted to turkey hunt too. Mm-hmm. And this one of them was finishing his slam of turkeys for the country. Like I think he had one or two states left, and Maine was one of them. So I'm like, all right, let's do a turkey brook trout trip, and it was fun.
Yeah.
So hunt turkeys in the morning and then go trout fishing in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And so that opened my mind a little bit to guiding hunting, and that's when I probably only a couple of years after that I was talking to Tommy Hamilton, and
Yeah.
he's like, guide moose, man. If
Yep.
you love it, you got it. That's the way to do it.
Yeah. Come on up.
So anyway, yeah. So I've been guiding hunting really for, even though I've had my licenses for over 30 years, I've been guiding hunting for only, say, 6 years.
Yep. Yep.
And moose only 3. This will be my fourth
cycle.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. And I'm going to step into bear hunting this year.
Yep. Awesome.
So just check it out.
The whole kit and caboodle now.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Coming up and jumping into the moose game, and now a few years into that, when you think back on, the clients you've taken, what would you say has been like one of your top hunts? Like, tell us the story of it.
Oh, okay. Well, there's two really that the very first one stands out because I had a hunter who didn't hunt the full week. I mean, you get 6 days.
Oh, yep.
And Friday morning, he tells me he's going home.
Oh.
And I try to convince him, well, just go out for the morning. Just go out for the morning. You're up. It's 3:30. You're up. Let's just go.
Yeah,
I'll have you back by noon. No, he went home. And we had seen some moose, but nothing that was shootable really. Nothing he wanted to shoot, and so that's a little that's on him, but it's that's the way it goes. But you got 6 days.
Right.
That's not very long.
No.
And we're we still had 2 days, 2 full days.
You have a third of your hunt left.
We have a third of our hunt left.
Yeah.
So he left, so I went to help another guide. And the way we do that is usually we split up. So still 4 a.m, we're on the road.
Yeah.
Get to where we're gonna look for moose, and I park the truck and wait till the sun comes up and it's legal. Walk up the road, turn the corner. There's a bull moose
right there,
30 yards off the road, feeding. Didn't have a care in the world.
Yeah, how it goes, right?
I walked past him, walked up to the end of the road, glassed, saw another moose on the other side of the valley. Walked back to the truck to get on the radio. That first moose was still feeding there.
No kidding.
So we would have had a moose.
No question.
6:30 a.m. Yep.
No question.
Yep. And you just never know. That's just it. And so then the next hunt, it's kind of the same lesson there.
Yeah.
We had great action on moose. We saw a lot of moose. Again, nothing that he really wanted to shoot. Spike bulls.
Yeah, young
cows.
bulls. Yeah.
We had bulls grunting, getting pulled away by cows. We had bulls, putting on the show for us, but no shots offered. Exciting. We had just day after day of action, but no moose.
Right.
Saturday comes.
Last day.
And I'll back up one step there. We Chris, you were hunting.
Oh, this was that. This is that. Okay. Yeah, I know this story.
So there's 3 of us hunting a zone together.
Yep.
And
yep.
Thursday comes, and we still have 3 tags, right?
Right.
And so we change things up. We get out of the areas that we know. We'd all had action with moose.
Yep. We'd all passed up. Clients had passed up multiple bulls.
And
we're having a really good hunt, actually.
And the other guide, he had a big bull he was hunting that he had worked a few times.
Right.
And but was cowed up. It was with cows. Had multiple cows with it.
Yep.
And they just couldn't make it work. So one of our other guides is
animated.
Our senior guides. He says, "Where's your guide's license for?"
State of Maine.
It's for the state of Maine. You need to change things up. You need to go somewhere else.
Yep.
So we did. And I think the first road that Brady went down, they got a moose.
Yep. We went and checked the spot. Boom.
we quartered that one up,
Packed
got
it
in the
out.
truck, sent Brady back to the tagging station.
Yeah, and then
You go up to the next road.
yeah. So it was raining. It started raining brutal, like brutal.
Yep.
And
This is Friday.
this is now Friday.
Friday afternoon.
Yep. So then we went up in this road to check this out, this new area, and we knew I could tell off the topo. I actually looked real quick. I had it like a map opened up that there was this ridge up in here. We should go up here and check this out. And we just got up in there just a little ways, and there was a bull following this cow right around on this road. And it was Friday, 40-inch bull, and my client I didn't even have to tell him. He goes, "Yep, here we go." Got that one done in the pouring rain. Beautiful part about that was I'm not too picky about the paint on my pickup truck. And not that this road was too grown in anyway, but we were able to get the truck almost to the moose.
Right.
So we had
that's right.
30-foot pack job.
Right. Yeah, and my client and I made sure you guys were all set.
Yep, you guys did. You ran in.
Then we took off to go to the next road system up.
Yep.
And saw some great looking stuff. So anyway, the day ended and we had 1 day left.
Yep.
1 day left. But you guys are tagged out. So now we have a team.
Right.
We have looking for a moose.
Yeah, working together, checking things out, everything to make everyone successful.
Yep. And we hunt all day.
Mm-hmm. And you had a couple plays too, like seen a few, but
yep. Had a bull and a cow that wandered off. The cow, and I learned something on this one, but you just every encounter is different. So this cow is bellowing, the bull is grunting, and she's doing that.
Just taking.
So she's annoyed.
Yeah.
She doesn't, and he, so she's leading him off, but she's trying to get away from him.
Mm-hmm.
And I did a cow call, thinking, oh well, he's gonna hear a receptive cow and come see her. Well, no, he's already on the tail of a cow.
Yep.
And what I should have done is just do a little raking.
Right. So lesson out there, those who listen, some of these tips we try to opportunities for how you can play these things in the field.
So that bull is focused on that cow, whether she's annoyed or not.
Right. She's right there.
She's right there in front of him. He's got his nostrils full of her.
Yeah.
And she might be prime, but she's probably more interested in a bigger bull or whatever the scenario.
Yeah.
But that's that annoyed cow.
Oh, yeah.
And she's going away. And he's going to defend her, even if she's not interested in him.
Yeah.
So what I should have done is probably been a bull.
Yep.
But I was a cat. So I learned.
Well,
because they just kept going.
Sometimes you gotta. You're in a
I
situation.
could have done the bull, and he might have run.
Right.
He might have been like, "Oh, the big one's here."
It's always hindsight's 20/20. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. Right. So.
Yeah. So anyway, that didn't pan out, but that was exciting. I mean, we were
in moose.
We were after him. We were on him. And so now it's afternoon, and Brad and I are talking about, well, it's been a fun hunt. It's been exciting. No regrets.
I've had a blast. Those conversations can start.
It's not going to happen, but we had a great week. I don't know how many moose we saw. We saw a lot of moose. We had a lot of calling scenarios that
passed up some.
We passed up some. We had some really close encounters with small moose, but still, those are exciting, especially when they come into a call. We had some bird hunting, middle of the day. We had some great lunches with, in the field, with beautiful views, just everything about it. We had a great week. And then across the radio,
Dana.
And it's, what time is it?
It's late. Hour in the day, maybe.
We got an hour left.
Yep, probably.
And so I hear the call, and it's at where we got the first moose.
Yep, it was
same road.
Same road we got the first moose the day before. Yep.
So we get over there. We got less than an hour of time, and that moose is gone. You know, they don't
just stand there.
They don't just stand there. They're moving. This one was a nice bull.
Oh yeah,
beautiful bull.
Yeah,
not a giant, but still very nice.
Oh, very respectable.
And so we were pretty excited by that. But he's gone.
Yeah.
So we go down this old tote road, and I do a cow call. Instantly have a grunt down in the cedar bottom, down along the river, and I do a bull grunt, and here he comes,
stomping.
Oh, you could hear him coming. It was one of those, and my client just turned to jelly. Like he couldn't even stand up. He's like, he's just so excited.
Right.
You know, and it's fun. He looks at me. He said, "This is going to happen, isn't it?" I said, "It's probably going to happen because this bull is coming on a string." And I get a glimpse of him, and he's going to step into an opening.
Yeah.
And I range it. It's 100 yards away. I said, "All right, that's where he's going to come out. Be ready. Get your gun ready." And he couldn't even get his gun up. I had to help him get the gun up. He was so excited.
Yeah. No, it's
he's
incredible.
He's like, "You're going to have to hold me up."
Yeah.
And that moose steps into the opening, and he puts a round into it. Looks like it's not even affected. Puts another round into it. And this bull is thrashing and grunting.
Yeah.
And then he moves further to the left, but he's coming closer. He's still coming in.
Still calling and fired right up.
He's still fired up. And and he he's been shot at, and he's still coming in. So I pick another opening and say, "All right, he's going to come into that opening. Be ready." He gets on it. And this time I put my binoculars on him, and I see the impact of the slug.
Smoked it, yeah.
And smoked it. Bull did not go down. Came closer.
Wow.
So he's got another shot into it. Still didn't go down. Came closer. And he's hitting it in the chest. So, adrenaline.
Oh, yeah.
Gets us fired up. It gets the moose fired up, too. He's coming in for a fight.
Yep, fired up.
And his clip's empty. So I said, "Get another clip." He pulls out the clip, he drops it. And I'm like, and I can't see it. There's brush, and
you're in like a selective cut. Yeah.
And so I'm like, "All right, grab your box of shells." And he drops that. And so I'm handing him a shell one at a time out of the leaves. And he gets and I said, "Put it in the neck, drop, put him down." And he did.
Yep.
But that moose came to within 35 yards of us.
Kept coming.
And there were at least 5 holes in it.
Wow.
So, he hit it.
Yeah.
Pretty much every shot.
Right. At this point, you're talking.
And there's 15 minutes of light left.
I was going to say.
It was.
Yep.
It was right. And it was last minute bull. It was amazing.
Yeah. 15 minutes to go. And I think, what a lesson from that, though.
You got to hunt every minute.
You really do.
Yep.
You really do.
Don't get discouraged either.
No.
We were talking about this before, and we'll continue. We'll always talk about this. Wednesday comes, you haven't seen a moose.
Mm-hmm.
It's only halfway.
Right. You can hunt all week for, you think about the sequence of getting there, calling, hearing a bull respond, working a bull, getting him to come out, the episode of actually shooting and harvesting said bull, minutes.
Right.
You have 6 days to garner a 90-second opportunity.
What does our really exuberant fellow guide say? 0 to 0.
0 to 0.
Or the other way around. 0 to hero.
You
Sorry.
can go 0 to 0, or you can go 0 to hero in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
That's right.
Right.
And
0 to hero.
And, really, I think that is a major tip for those. If maybe you're going moose hunting this fall in Maine, it's a 6-day hunt. Commit to the 6 days. Don't tell your boss you're going to be back to work Wednesday afternoon.
I know somebody who had a hunt with a family member who said they'd probably be back in camp by Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yeah, me.
It was Thursday.
Yep,
wasn't it?
Last year we were on a hunt, and I'll tell the story. We were running a remote camp way up in the North Maine woods, and had done a ton of scouting, and like we always do, had a ton of moose located. And
this is your brother's permit.
Yeah, so my brother had the permit, so I hadn't taken a formal client for the September season. And
your brother was your client.
Yeah, my brother was my client. Yeah.
He knew what he was doing.
He knew what he was doing. Yeah. So I hadn't taken, I guess, a formal commercial client, so to speak. And we got up in there, and we saw moose. We got into moose. And I think one thing that's a major observation, and I'm sure most guides would agree, change in weather and moose are so connected. And I think back to that story, the story you just shared, how, we'd hunted for 4 days and we'd seen some bulls, but it had been brutally warm the first half of that week.
Yep.
And then finally...
Yeah, and that's why we're shooting birds in the middle of the day. It's 75 degrees.
It's 75 degrees.
The moose aren't going to be out moving. So, but don't waste that time. We're shooting birds because we're riding the roads. We're looking for more moose sign.
Right. We're scouting midday. Where are the tracks? Where is this?
You got that first thing in the morning, even if it's warm, it's still cooler.
Yep.
So you got to be where there's sign.
Absolutely. And
then if that doesn't pan out, you got to have more spots with sign, and you're looking for fresh sign.
Right.
If you don't have fresh sign, and it's browse is what I focus on.
Yep.
I mean, they eat a lot.
Yes, they do.
And if you're not seeing fresh browse, you got to move somewhere where there's fresh browse.
Yep.
So anyway, that's what you got to do.
And
you got to find the sign.
And so, but that weather, you got to play that before you go. Look at the weather. If you see that it's going to be 80 degrees the first half of the week, go up there knowing that. Go hunting knowing that, and because you may be surprised. Geez, we haven't seen a ton of moose, and then all of a sudden they're everywhere. When you get a weather change midweek, and that's what happened with us. I told the team, I said, we should go over there, take a couple days. I should be back in camp Tuesday night. That was my plan. You
knew where they were.
Yeah, we got that bull Thursday.
But the weather was not conducive.
It was
to
not.
Moose movement during the daylight hours, and that's what you need.
We still had a couple close encounters. It didn't quite work out. Could have had one 5 minutes in Monday. Didn't work out.
Some of those mornings that are perfect, though, I mean, it's this is the day here.
And we ended up getting, he got a nice 50-inch bull Thursday morning, and quartered it up, packed it out.
Thursday of that September season was a beautiful day.
It was gorgeous. And
yep.
We got it out, packed it out, and then sent a note up north. I'm coming. And then I left remote camp at 1:15 in the morning to get to the sporting camps for 4:30.
Yeah.
So anyway, well, this has been awesome, Dana. We're coming up on a moment to wrap it up here, but awesome stories, some good knowledge. As always, it's a blast hearing from you and sharing moose stories. Certainly we'll have you on here again soon, but try to always end with maybe a suggestion for people. They're thinking about getting into moose hunting, for our listeners out there, or maybe they have a moose permit right now. The season's a couple months away. When you think about that preseason prep or things you should be doing like right now to get ready, what what are a few key things that you think people should keep in mind and should be working on?
Well, probably the most important thing is be familiar with your rifle or your bow.
Yep.
And get to the range. You don't need to rip a lot of shells, but make sure it's sighted in. I would sight in for 200 yards to 300 yards. So with a typical deer rifle like a 30-06, you're going to be 2 inches high at 100 yards. That's where you want it, and make sure you can do it.
Yep.
And do it offhand too.
Yes. Yeah.
I've seen plenty of scenarios where people wanted to use their sticks, and
they become a factor.
It limited what they could do.
Yep.
You get on the sticks, you're kind of stuck at a pivot point without moving the sticks. And so be comfortable on the sticks, of course. I mean, I'm not saying don't use sticks, especially if you're comfortable with it. They're definitely a good tool to make an accurate shot, but be comfortable with an offhand shot.
Awesome.
Yep. And that's one thing you can do right now.
Yep.
You can also take a trip up north.
Yep.
Do some trout fishing. Look for some moose. It'll be different come fall, but they won't be far. I mean, it's all moose country.
Yep. Learn the road system at least.
Yep. And look at maps. Look at aerial photography. There's a lot of things you can do it year round. And then the last thing I guess I'll end with is get out and do some walking.
Yeah. Be ready to walk.
Walk around the neighborhood for a mile. Pick up softball. Be on a softball team. Just be active.
Yeah.
Do something you're interested in. It doesn't have to be like you with an 80-pound pack hiking around the housing development with everybody thinking you're crazy.
I take my moose hunting very seriously, Dana. And everyone knows it. And that shows your dedication. But most people, it's tough to do that. But heck, do something you like to do. Yep.
Play tennis, go swimming, ride a bike. Just be active, and that'll prepare you for your moose hunt.
Awesome. Shoot your gun, learn your area, get moving, get in shape.
Yep.
Well said, Dana. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. To all our listeners out there, stay tuned for the next one. Be safe until next time, and God bless.